Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good noon. I'm very happy to see you all here. Thank you for coming to Berlinale Talents on a Sunday noon. I'm super happy and proud to welcome an actor and a personality we've been looking forward since already last year welcoming here on stage, because she has such a rich work to look back and forward to, and she's appearing in so many interesting roles, identities, characters across cinema, but also TV stream. And yeah, I'm just leaving the stage to wonderful Hiam Abbass and moderated by the wonderful Rabia El-Khoury. Thank you, enjoy.
Good morning. Some of you discovered her in Paradise Now by Hany Abu-Assad, the first Palestinian Oscar-nominated film and Golden Globe winner. Some of you have followed her since her instrumental role in the epic Gate of Sun by Yusri Nasrallah, which retraces a family's displacement in the Nakba. Some of you know her because of her sophisticated character, Marcia Roy, in the hit HBO series Succession. Some of you were mesmerized by her dramatic scene as Freyza, facing Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049 by Denis Villeneuve. Some of you were overjoyed to learn about her real story as filmed by her daughter Lina Sualem in the acclaimed documentary by Tiberias. Some of you might remember her first Berlinale visit, a transformative role from widow to belly dancer in Raja Amari's Satin Rouge, which screened at the Forum, and then years later with her commanding role in the Panorama Audience winner, Inseriated by Philippe Van Loo. The lucky ones in the audience today might have discovered not one, but two of her newest works, which premiered over the past 2 days at the festival. The competition entry In a Whisper by the Tunisian Leila Bouzid, featuring an ensemble cast dealing with grief and secrets. And the Panorama opening film by Daniel Arbid, Only Rebels Win, in which Abbas falls in love with a migrant much younger than her in today's Beirut. She has been gracing our big and small screens for many years, and yet whatever her character is about, her distinct self manages to come forward through a role, through a scene, through a line, through a gaze, a Palestinian actress always staying true to her identity. I'm very thrilled to welcome Hiam Abbass. So I prepared.
Thank you very much. Sabah al-khair. Good morning. Thank you for waking up to come and listen me talk.
We prepared a lot, so we can fill 16 hours of talking, so we'll try to run through what...
Yeah, you're sleeping here.
You're not sleeping. Hiam Abbass, welcome to the Berlinale. Welcome to Berlinale Talents for this special discussion about your extensive and multifaceted career. Before we start our conversation, we would like to take a moment to pay tribute and remember the legendary Palestinian artist, filmmaker, actor, and activist, the late Mohammed Bakri, who has always championed the Palestinian cause and died in December. You had a chance to act facing Mohammed Bakri in 1996 in a film called Haifa, a film directed by Rashid Mashharawi. He played the character of Haifa, and you played the character of Said. How do you remember Mohammed Bakri?
I was very impressed by Mohammed at the time. God bless his soul, first of all. I was very afraid, really, because it was my first big part, I would say. It was my return to Palestine, and I knew that Mohammed was very active cinema-wise and political-wise back there. And And once I got there and I saw how nice he is, he drove me even from Jericho back to my village and from my village back to Jericho. So it was really incredible to work with him. He's a great artist, and he was really a great man and very committed to his cause and very committed to his art. I wish he could have lived longer to offer us the beautiful parts that he's done. Anyway, so I keep in my heart Muhammad that I knew at the time, because I didn't really work with him again. We kept just kind of bumping into each other, but I never worked with him again like we did at the time. He was, because we have as well to remember Muhammad with his character, like he could get angry out of the sudden and suddenly like forget why he got angry, and because he was very much committed to the work. So I wouldn't say he was a method, but he was very close to be a method actor in that sense. I remember once one anecdote that I would say about him, like we were doing something in the street, we did it over and over and over again, and then like he got so angry, he just stabbed the wall, whatever that, and he got hurt himself. So, and then he goes, wow, I'm so stupid anyway. So, and back to the scene again. But I remember because it's the first impressions I had from a great actor that I looked up to. And I just said, oh, okay, so this is how we behave. So, okay, great. Maybe I wouldn't do the same thing, but sometimes I do the same thing.
We're speaking about your beginnings, so let's go back a tiny bit to the late 90s, but also more to your childhood and your childhood memories and how you started with arts in general. You said a very nice thing. You said poetry used to create images in my head. You used to read a lot. You had also a reading room at home filled with books. You acted in plays at school before you studied photography, and you started working at the Hakawati Theater. Did you know from the very start that you wanted to pursue a career in the arts, or did it come gradually?
I think I knew that my tendencies were artistic. I didn't think really I was made to be a traditional woman in the traditional world of a mother, working in an office sort of job. I always dreamt of something artistic, but when I was very little, I couldn't really figure out what it would be. I knew that acting was one of them, because when I was 9 years old and I had to act in front of the people of my village for the end of the year sort of activity, festivity, all the parents were sitting there and I had to play this mother that loses her son. My son was as big as me, just like sitting there in my arms. And I remember that I went so deep into my emotions that I forgot what I was doing, really. I just did it. And once it was over, I just looked at the people and I saw everybody crying and I go, wow, this is magical. I really think that the impact of that specific incident in me stayed in me as a kid, as a teenager. And later on, although I just kept acting, but I kept singing, I kept doing a lot of other artistic activities, not drawing. I'm not a painter, not at all. It just, I don't know, and the literature, and it just helped my mind to want to pursue, but I didn't know in what. Then I chose photography, and I went to do this school of photography, not because I knew anything about photography or I loved photography or anything of that sort. It just saved me from being a doctor or a lawyer that my parents wanted me to do. So, and it was the first fight, basically, about being something that maybe not in the expectations of my parents. This is how it started. The photo brought me back. I'm going to shorten the way for those who know already my stories. So the photo got me to a theater, and in the theater, the doors opened back to me to acting. And very quickly, I found myself on stage in a professional way, leaving with the troupe of El Hakawati from Jerusalem to Lyon and acting suddenly on a professional stage. So that was really something very, very, very unique in my life, because this was the first time I could say, okay, finally I am an actress.
And some of these topics you revisited with your daughter, Lina Swalem, who's with us tonight.
Lina.
Lina took you back to your to these stories that you were just mentioning and produced her award-winning documentary Bye Bye Tabaraya, Bye Bye Tiberias. This is the only documentary you have worked on, but also it's a documentary about you, about your family. How was it for you to revisit your beginnings through Lina? Was it a difficult experience to just work with her, or how did you do that?
At the beginning, it was weird, to be honest with you. At the beginning, you know, I always dreamt in order to honor my grandmother and my mother, two women very important for me in my childhood, and to honor their Palestine that became mine. I always dreamt of something to do about them. But I think I never had the courage or maybe the knowledge of how to do it. I felt like I could visit them and honor them here and there in maybe parts that I've done in my career, until Lina came up with this idea. And suddenly it was a very fearful thing. Like, do I go, don't I go, what do I do? And then I was really terrified. I think I gave a hard time to Lina at the very beginning. And she was just like working in a very silent and intelligent way around the idea to get me there. One of my fears as well were like, is she doing something about my career? I'm really not interested in that. But suddenly, when I really kind of got it deep in me that Lina is not looking to kind of bring me out to the light as the actress that I am, but as the woman, Palestinian, that I am, part of a destiny of women. Then I looked at the subject from a different point of view, and suddenly it became almost a duty. So it became, Hiam, put your ego aside, put yourself aside, serve, because you need to serve the movie. You need to serve the political aspect of the movie in order to make this movie exist, not for yourself, but for the people who brought you to life and the woman that you brought to life.
And Lina's film addresses different forms of exile. It speaks about identity, it speaks about belonging, what home is. You were raised in the village of Deir Hanna. You chose to leave Palestine, maybe to seek better opportunities, and you lived in London shortly before you moved to France and settled in France. The topic of Berlinale Talents is confusion, and I wanted to ask you, has this leaving Palestine, how did it affect you? How did it fortify your identity? How much confusion did it create for you at the time to settle?
You know, the confusion existed before I decided to leave. So you leave with the confusion. You leave with wanting to belong in a place that was taken from you. You are confused with the loss of land, with the fact that we're trying even to uproot you from your own identity, your own culture. And you just, if I left, I really left, first of all, in order to get maybe new air. يعني بالعربي أتنفس نفس تاني. Really to breathe something that maybe would help me not be angry, maybe be more creative, maybe be less under the pressure that was kind of suffocating my daily life, whether it's social or political, or women-wise, the woman that I wanted to be. So all the aspects of confusion were a big challenge on everyday's life for me. So going to Europe just added on that confusion, because first you know as well that you're leaving those that you love, that they gave you love, and that you inherited everything from them behind, not knowing when to see them, how to see them. There's a big conflict with them. So what do you do with your life after? And then you get there, and with the distance, I think, and with the time, and with the fact that I really became a mother at that time with my first child, Lina, I felt that this new birth in my life and this new continuity of me was an obligation for me to look back and to kind of like find peace with that confusion, with the confused past that I came from. And then I think Lina was really the reconnection, basically, the reconciliation with my family, with my parents, with my Palestine. I gave her everything Palestinian that I was missing from being there. So that exile and that wanting to really give everything that you're losing almost every day because you're away from home to your own child. I think was a big motivation and a big kind of clear vision of how you deal with exile and what do you do. Finally, maybe is the answer really love? And is the love that I received, that I'm giving now, connects with whatever I've taken? And then suddenly you return love to wherever it belonged to? So it's a circle that is really very interesting in my life. And thank you, Lina.
Addressing exile prompts me to ask you about some of the works, the Palestinian works that you have worked in, Hiam, and I want to start with the epic film Gate of Sun, Bab al-Shams, which is a film by Egyptian filmmaker Jacir Nasrallah. It's a powerful adaptation of the Lebanese writer Ilyas Khouri, who passed away also last year, with his epic novel of 50 years of Palestinian dispossession, exile, and resistance. The Gate of Sun screened out of competition in Cannes in 2004 and is an epic 4.5-hour film in 2 parts about the Nakba and what came after it. The film pans 50 years of Palestinian struggle, resistance, dispossession, and of course exile. You had a role in it, a major role in it, next to a collective ensemble cast that included Palestinian, Arab, and international actors. You played Yunus in that film. How was it for you to play Yunus in a film that really addresses all of that?
Honestly, when Yusri told me to play that part, I didn't realize at the time how important maybe the movie could be in the Palestinian history. Because first of all the testimonies that are in the book that Ilyas Khouri had written were true stories that he collected from a lot of Palestinian refugees in Lebanon, and he built up the book. The book is 800 pages, right? And making 2 parts movie from that book was a lot of work for Yusri. So he was explaining to me, and I was trying to read the book and advancing in the book. But at one time, I decided to let it aside and concentrate on the script itself so that you don't get really confused. And I just didn't see, I mean, I wanted to do the part because I loved the part, but I didn't see maybe at the very beginning any similarities or anything that could be personal in there that just like has a really personal reference and direct personal reference. In Yunus, when the war happens and they oblige her with her blind husband to leave the house with all their belongings and whatever they were able to collect very fast to leave, she loses her mind and she looks for her son that is not there. And then she finds herself sleeping that night with the chicken, right? And I remember I started speaking with the chicken, right? I mean, it wasn't written in the script, but out of that state of mind, like I was kind of like dialoguing with the chicken. The chicken would just go crazy doing something, and I'd talk to them. And when I got out from that scene, I told Yusri, I said, Yusri, you know, this is my grandfather's story. Because what do you mean? I said, like, at the loss of his house and his lands and his family and the exile and the Nakba of 48 and every member of the family in a different place, he just went crazy. I mean, he lost his mind. He lost his mind and he died after it. And I just started sobbing, really, not knowing, you know, where to take it, what to do. But I was so happy deeply inside that somehow, as I said earlier, you know, I never knew my grandfather because he died before I was born, but I felt like, wow, like at least in a part of my work, I'm honoring this man as part of a whole Palestinian history and story that I inherited. And I was very happy to feel that I'm serving something, you know, just giving something out of me, a small part maybe like everybody of you or of us would be doing to his own cause or story or history. I felt really very proud to be part of that movie.
And another movie that is also epic in a different form is Annemarie Jacir's Palestine 36, Palestine 36, which discusses a very different but also very important era. It's an anti-colonial piece that pays tribute to Arab resistance. It speaks about the Great Revolt of 36 to 39, the general Palestinian strike against the British rule that spread from villages and towards the cities. For the Germans here, it's out in German cinemas in early May 2026, but also it screens all over the world at the moment, and it has been shortlisted for Best International Feature at the latest Academy Awards. Annemarie manages really to address this very important period of time, which is not very, which is rarely seen in fiction films. Everything was ready to shoot on October 14th, 2023, and then October 7th happened. And we all know it came afterwards. How important was it for you and for the team to still shoot the film, even in different locations, and make the story see the light?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't really easy because everything was set to go. Specifically that the movie is an epic movie, so there was like a buildup of locations, the village itself, that is the village of my character. And suddenly the production found themselves really kind of like without any word, not even knowing where to go. That all the team and the foreigners that were there to work on the movie, all the actors that traveled from all over the world to be there, suddenly had to go home. Everybody had to go home because they didn't know what to do. So I wouldn't talk about the loss of money, and that's like a matter of production, but it was a really big loss. And then weeks after, I remember I spoke with Osama, with the producer, and he says, oh, Hiam, you know, like 1 week and it will be over. And we knew that it wasn't going to be over, and that genocide just took further and further and further depth in Gaza and in the population of Gaza and in the Palestinian history, and the settlers in the West Bank were more and more kind of in freedom to attack and to do whatever they want. And the village itself was in the middle of the West Bank and in the middle of a surrounded area surrounded by colonies, Israeli colonies. So, and then they just had to think again, what do we do? They built this village and now this village is there. So they were thinking, okay, let's wait like a month or two. Then a month or two, they call again and they said, okay, I think we're going to shoot there. But every time they decided to do something, an incident happened, and just the village nearby was attacked by settlers. So they had to think twice whether it wasn't too risky, too dangerous to bring the actors and people from outside, from Europe, to work in these conditions, and that it was really incredibly like too difficult even to think that it was a possibility. Then I think Annemarie had really to kind of put her thoughts together and say, what is important, to make the movie or just to be stubborn about shooting it in Palestine? There are parts that were shot in Palestine, but later, after they relocated the whole shooting to Jordan, so by the time they built everything and everything was ready to go, Iran-Israel starts. Israel attacks Lebanon as well. So like it was an endless condition. I remember I was in Berlin when I was supposed to travel to my first period of shooting, and I go to the airport knowing that in that evening there were attacks between Israel and Iran. I get to the airport and they tell me you cannot fly. Okay. I call the production and they say, wait at the airport, we'll try to make you pass by another country. But it's all the Middle East, like where do you go? So again, we had to move my dates to another period, like we had to change 100 times the schedule in order to to shoot finally that movie. So once we were on set, it was a win-win. It was a victory. Once we were there, everybody just wanted to give his best to whatever we had to do as actors or technicians or, you know, any part of responsibility you had in that movie just became really like a survival resistance sort of act. And we were able to do the movie, and lucky enough, they were able as well to shoot certain scenes in Jerusalem and in certain parts of Palestine that were a little bit away from the actual war zone. And, you know, and today we're very proud of that movie because it's really another theme where you think in the erasing process of the Palestinian history identity, filmmakers are there to make their movies part of the Palestinian archives that would resist forever.
Basically, that was the answer to the question that I had, because this is a very interesting quote that I have of you in a talk that you did at the Ajial Film Festival in Qatar. You say, through cinema and our work, we are able to raise our voices and exist on our terms, not as others want us to exist. History and memory may be personal at first, but we are part of a collective memory, and we have to remember that we are parts of a whole, which I think what you just said right now. We're speaking about Palestine and in cinema, and I want to address Paradise Now and its incredible impact at the time. Paradise Now, Al Jannah Al-An, is a 2005 film directed by Hany Abu-Assad. It ended up winning 3 awards at the Berlinale, as well as the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. It was also the first Palestinian film to snatch an Academy Award nomination for Best Foreign Language Film, and it stars Ali Sulaiman, Lubna Azabal, Qais Nashif, and yourself, Hiam. We have a small surprise for you. We managed to have 4 stills shot by Seamus Murphy of yourself on the set of this film, and he was gracious enough to find those photos, which we will screen in a bit. With you and for all of you tonight. Hany Abu-Assad was very new at the time and on the scene. Can we speak about the shooting of the film and the success that came afterwards?
Another challenge. It was one of the first Palestinian movies to be shot in the Palestinian territories, in Nablus specifically. It was really very, very tough because, like, at the time as well, and less than today, we had almost no team, no production designers, no production people, no production responsibilities. The posts were just like always given to foreigners, and it was like even a duty of educating a new generation in Palestine to take over the business. And we are in the West Bank, and the West Bank is in real chaos at that time because it was just very little after the return of the Palestinian authorities trying to, you know, build up the country, build up our lives together. And it wasn't easy. And we, at one stage, it was even like impossible to continue to shoot really in the West Bank, because you would think that at that time the Israelis withdrew from the West Bank. It wasn't at all. Like, we would be shooting scenes and we were just like in the night witnessing all the arresting of young Palestinians, that they would come like in a convoy, the Israeli soldiers, and just like go and fetch people from their houses. And we were really looking at that. And one time we just found the whole set being enclosed by like a whole bunch of, you know, like soldiers and military system and whatever. And just like the producers, they were Germans and Dutch at that time, from Holland. And they really sat down with everybody, you know, like in Palestine. And they thought, like, in order to finish the movie, we had to get out of there. And then again, like, we had to leave the West Bank, go back to Nazareth, and finish the shooting in Nazareth. I mean, like, I think really every specific Palestinian experience that I had that happened in Palestine had like a book you could write about it that tells you how hard it is to shoot in Palestine, how hard it is to be able to achieve a Palestinian movie with the political conditions that the Palestinians live in.
And if we want to move a tiny bit from Palestine, I also want to address your Arab roles. You worked extensively with the Arab world. I want to start with Tunisia. We want to talk about your Berlinale competition entry, Beit el-Hess in a whisper in a bit. But you work with Tunisian directors, you worked with the great Mufidat Latli in Nadia and Sarra, but also you started with Rajal Amari with Satin Rouge. Satin Rouge is the feature debut of Rajal Amari. It's also your first major role. And also your first collaboration out of many with Rajal Amari, but also your first visit to the Berlinale, to the forum section. We have also some stills from the film. It's the story of this widow who turns into belly dancing to give her life a meaning. How was it for you to embark on such a transformative role?
Hola. That is the movie, I think. That's the turning point in my life. When Rajat gave me the script and when I read it, I really thought I would never be able to do it. And I talked a lot with Raja, that comes from, let's say, the same kind of like traditions, maybe social restrictions, whatever. And we sat and we talked a lot, really. For me, this movie was either I do it and I then practice the freedom of acting and the freedom of being the actress that I want and the woman that I want, or I just withdraw from acting and I don't do anything. It's a very dairy movie with a lot of dairy scenes. And it needed really some kind of courage for me to just like put everything aside, knowing that maybe I will go back to the same conflicts that I had with my parents, with my society, with my village, with whatever traditions that I was supposed to be put on and that I fought. And I thought that I finished with that, you know, but that movie just like brought everything back into my face, and I had to, and I really went there with a lot of fear. Like I would all the time kind of be going in and out, in and out, in and out. But once we started shooting, the decision was made, so there was no return from that moment on. And yes, it was the first movie that brought me to Berlin. It was the first movie as well that made me really kind of like be known a little bit to the filmmakers, and from there onward, I started to get more work. So it stays like the little kid as well, you know, that you make for the first time in your life. It's something that stays with me really, like, and it is still with me. And that woman I really love for her courage. Whatever she did, whatever happened to her, the most interesting thing in parts, it's like when you don't judge your character. You let it be, you let her exist, because at one stage she becomes her own and not yours anymore.
From Satin Rouge, we will speak about In a Whisper, Beit el-Hess, which premiered in competition on Friday with Tunisian director Hany Abu-Assad. First, we do have an extract for you. In a Whisper is a family drama. It's with everything that goes through that, the secrets. It's also a queer story, which is very powerful. But also it's a cast with several actresses sharing the screen together, which I thought really was beautiful. I wanted to ask you, how was it to work with Hany Abu-Assad on this feature, but also with all of these actresses that all kind of shared the role?
It was great. Honestly, it was really very, very easy, very good. Layla is really a great director that knows what she wants. The actresses that I worked with as well, whether it's Aya, who played my daughter, or Marion, who played her girlfriend, or Firial, who played my sister. But the biggest present was Salma Bakar, who played my mother. She's one of the most ancient, like first woman director in Tunisia. And it was really incredible to see her just playing that part in order to serve the theme of the movie. She wanted to have a say as well. And she wanted to to support the movie in that sense, because it's not easy to tackle that subject in Tunisia with the new law about like the homosexuality and what's happening to the community of homosexuals in Tunisia. So it was almost all of us were just again and another time people or women that wanted really to kind of like say our words and our say about basically the identity of anybody, whether it's sexual or national or whatever, belongs to everybody, and we are free to choose, and we have all to fight for that. I have seen Layla's work that I really loved, but the encounter with Layla as well was very amazing, because like we spent a weekend in Toulouse showing movies and talking about our work together. And I discovered her because I didn't know her before. She was watching me all the time. Her first question was to me like, would you be able to do the Tunisian accent? And I said, look, I've done it already in Satin Rouge, I've done it in Corps Étranger, I've done it for Mofidat Latli, so I guess if you trust me, I would be, right? Then the second day she goes, what are you doing in April? I said, what is your story exactly? And then she told me that she'd really love me to read the script. I read it immediately. I said yes, and immediately we started to prepare because she was shooting like 2 months after. And that was a part for her that was very hard to cast. I don't know for what reason. She was looking for specific things about that woman that she had in mind, but that she apparently couldn't find. But she was very skeptic about the Tunisian accent really in there.
A more difficult shooting is to move from Tunisia to Lebanon is the shooting of Only Rebels Win, Liman Yajru, which is a feature fiction by Daniel Arbid that opened the panorama section of the Berlinale. We have a clip from that, and then we'll discuss the film. You've shot with Lebanese filmmaker Dima Al-Hor. You've shot with the Panorama Audience winner inseriated by Philippe Van Leu in Beirut. You've also shot the very first short film of Daniel Arbid in 1998, Radem. It was also your very first visit at the time to Lebanon. I'm interested, as we speak about acting, maybe also a tiny bit about the work with Daniel, but here you were facing an actor who's playing his very first lead role, and also you had a supporting cast, fantastic people who have not acted, like Shadan Faqih, who's a stand-up comedian, who's also a very prominent and powerful activist in Lebanon, and we've seen her in the clip. Not really actors. You come with this extraordinary experience and you're surrounded by actors who are really thrilled to work with you and work on that film. How was it for you to be accompanied by such a cast on Daniel's film?
I like to say great. It was really great. I mean, you know, when I tackle a job, when I attack it, I never think about the experience of people or where they come from necessarily, like, or whether they have years of experience or not. Every movie for me, it's a beginning. It's almost if I start from zero again. And I always remember that I was one day at a really stage zero, right? So why everybody has the right to start and everybody has the right to begin his career. And it's always interesting because I have a feeling sometimes I learn more from people who has no experience than the people of experience. Excuse me, guys with experience. I love you all, and I really enjoy working with you as well. But it's not about this. There is something, I would say, childish, something that reminds the beginning of your dreams, the beginning of what you want to, and it creates like some kind of a pure atmosphere between people, and you know, everybody wants to do his best, and you're there, okay, you're experienced, so what, you know? It's just like, put it in the service of what you need to do for the work, and don't put it as an obstacle between you and the people who don't have the same maybe amount of years, you know? And honestly, yes, it is a process of learning. It's a process of learning about people, about yourself, about the humble side of our job that we have to keeping in mind. stay humble all the time, you know?
You've mentioned, because you're speaking about your Arab roles, you've played so many Arab roles. Tunisians, Moroccan, Lebanese, Syrian, you did also Algerians.
Iraqi recently.
Iraqi as well recently. You represented diverse Arab identities. And you spoke about language, of course, and dialects. The dialects differ from one region to the other in one country, but also from country to country in the Arab world, it's very different. While we were preparing together, you mentioned that learning and mastering an accent is a service to the Arab identity in general. Can we elaborate a tiny bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you live as an Arab in a Western country, you face often like this idea of the Arabs, they're always all the same. You know, an Arab is an Arab. And I remember one time, really very early in my career, I had like a huge theater where I was introducing a movie. And the person that was interrogating us on stage goes, Hiam, I have a question for you. And I just go, yeah. What do you think about the situation of the Arab woman in the Arab world? And I said, excuse me, the Arab woman in the Arab world? Do you know how many identities of Arabs we have in the Arab world, right? Or those who tell you, oh, the Muslim world, like you belong to the Muslim world. And then you have to tell them that there are Muslims and there are Christians in the Arab world, and that they are Muslims who are not Arab in this world. So you find yourself all the time in a kind of teaching sort of thing, and you just go like, why is it like this, right? What's happening? Like, and then you get like these parts, and you go, that's really great. Like, if I can serve these identities to show the world every time I talk about these characters, that Salma in a Palestinian movie, it's not Layla in a Tunisian movie, and it's not Nadine in a Lebanese movie, and it's not I don't know what in another movie, and that every woman has her own, although we come from humanity and we all have the same feelings and the same emotional system, but we still have different identities, we have different accents, we have different codes, we have different stories, and different politics, right? And those identities have to be distinguished. So for me, to do this today in my career is really very important, because I am Palestinian, but I am Arab, and I'm very proud to be. And therefore, I have a responsibility towards my Palestinian side and towards my Arab side. So if I can keep serving this, I'm very happy. And this brings me really to another thing that I really want to comment since the beginning. It's just like, I mean, let's stop cheating on ourselves by saying that cinema is not there to serve, or art is not there to serve, or cinema should not be political. I come to it. Now, people have the right to be apolitical. There's no problem. But when it comes to taking the speaking side and becoming the voice of, excuse me, you have to be political. Today you cannot be Palestinian, you cannot be Tunisian, you cannot be Lebanese, you cannot be Arab, you cannot be German, you cannot be English, you cannot be American without being political. Sorry, I got a little bit worked up.
Before we speak about the Americans in a minute, I just want to end this section with, we were speaking about different dialects. You also worked with so many filmmakers in the region. Sometimes you work with the same filmmaker more than once. We mentioned Rajal Amari, but you also work with Shireen Daibes on America and May in the Summer. You work with Tarazan and Arab Nasser on Dirgadeh and Gaza Mon Amour. The films of Rajal Amari, you worked with Iran Reklis also more than once. Is it easier for an actor, when there is more trust with this director, you know how this person functions to take on a different role, or is every experience very different from the other?
You mean when it's a second experience with the same person? Yeah, there is trust, there is knowledge, there is easiness, I would say, in the approach, but the work is really the same. Like every time you have a new, I mean, I worked with my daughter, and I told you it was very hard, although it should have been the easiest, right? Because we know each other so well, and we trust each other so well, and we had a great connection, and we still have a great connection with each other, but that doesn't mean the job is easy. It really it depends on the job itself and what the movie needs, and how much the movie needs to go fit inside your guts and in your emotional system in order to become true and to become there. Now, when you know somebody, sometimes you think that your vision melts better in their vision. I don't think there is a theory, and there is no method to any of our jobs. I think every experience is a new experience. It's a new travel in the emotion and in the history and in the story and in the characteristic of what we're doing and in the conditions. I mean, I shared with you a few conditions as well of a few movies that were done that were really, really like incredibly difficult. So what do? If you don't like the director, you're going to privilege that your relationship with the director to the condition of the shooting itself. You just don't, it's not there anymore. And a lot of personal stuff don't really take place when you're creating, because the creation becomes more important than the personal. And then you just talk about the personal after. And often we forgot about the troubles that we had between each other sometimes when we see the result, because we get carried away by the creativity and the artistic work that is so important to put it there in the air and to the audience.
We'll move to the international side of your career, but before that,
there we go.
I just have this small announcement because I think it's important. You worked with Abdallah Al-Khatib on his really, really moving and funny short film called Sokrania.
First fiction, yeah, short, yeah.
And Abdallah is presenting his film this afternoon in the Perspectives section, Chronicles from the Siege. So also, I mean, you have been tremendously supporting young talents in doing that. And today you will be with us for the screening of the film.
Send me all your scripts. We'll see.
And let's move to the international. You worked with many international directors as an actor on films like The Limits of Control, 2009 by Jim Jarmusch. You worked on The Visitor by Tom McCarthy in 2007. In 2006, on Alejandro González Iñárritu, you were the acting coach for the Moroccan unit of the film Babel. I want to speak about Spielberg.
Yes.
On his 2005 film Munich, which
Yeah.
portrays a very, very sensitive topic also. You worked as an acting and language coach with Spielberg, but you also were a technical advisor in a way, because of course you understand the culture he is portraying. How did you approach Munich? And I mean, of course, everyone wants to work with Spielberg in a way, but what he was portraying in that film might be too sensitive.
You know, the joke really was that I was on Babel working with Alejandro when I got a call from my agent saying, like, Spielberg wants you for the part. And I go like, hey, don't kid. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Spielberg wants you for a part. And she said, no, seriously, he wants you. And I said, what is the movie about? And she goes, about Munich. And I said, okay, I'm not interested. And she goes, like, we're talking about Spielberg. I said, yeah, but we were talking about Munich as well. Right, so I want to know what the story is. No, they don't give scripts. I said, okay, they can keep their script to themselves. I don't care. And then I get another call after, and she said, like, they're really interested as well to have you as a coach. I said, as long as I don't know what the story is, I'm not doing anything, right? And then I get the script. in diplomatic case, honestly, right? I get it to the, like, hand to hand, and I start reading, and first I see that Tony Kushner wrote the script, and Tony Kushner is someone that wrote Angels in America, and he was very, very outspoken about the homosexual community very early at the times. He fought for the right of homosexuals to exist, and he was always like a very left-wing anti-Zionist Jew in New York. I said, oh, this is intriguing between Tony Kushner and Spielberg. Maybe I should just read and get really what this is about. And then I read the script, and it was written in a very fair way. It wasn't really like the American Hollywood way of looking at the Arab and at the Palestinians specifically at the time. So I said, okay, but what does this need of me? And they said, like, that's time for shooting and then that time for working. I thought, okay, I can fit it in. Specifically because I was in Babel for so long, I wanted to spend time with Lina and Muna, her sister, because I had not seen them for long. So I decided, okay, it suits my schedule, I go. But the day I went to set and I met Stephen, sorry, I say Stephen because I know him, I worked with him. When I saw Spielberg, so I see him and he's like at the end of a corridor shooting, and suddenly he turns towards me and he comes with his arms open, and I go like, this is surreal, right? What's going on? Like who am I for him, you know? But then he really comes closer to me and he said, thank you for being on my set. And I go, thank you for having me on your set. And then he calls his producer, Tony Kushner, and I meet everybody. And then he says, Hiam, please, I want you to tell Tony what you think of the script. And I go, okay, this is a little bit too much. So I speak my mind up because I'm really invited to speak my mind up. And there were a few things that I thought were right about what I know of the reality. And we spoke. The next day we had a meeting, we spoke about it. And from that moment on, they really decided to have me more involved in the story. And day after day, I got more and more responsibility. And then Lina and Muna were coming to visit because I hadn't seen them for so long. So he was very excited. He loves kids. Sorry. He likes children very much as a tender father. So he meets Lina and Muna, and then the next morning, his assistant calls me and he says he wants Muna to play the part of your daughter in the part that I had as a mother. And I go like, what is going on, really? Like everything that happened in that story just brought more and more surprises with him. And we really were able to connect and to speak person to person. And then Muna ended up being an actress in the movie at the age of 9. And it was just like incredibly beautiful, you know, to just have that experience kind of growing up like this in a surprising way every day to me and to my family. And I also got really very close to Tony Kushner, his co-writer or writer, and whom I really love very much. And I love his writing and I appreciate what he does as well politically.
Then there is your work with Denis Villeneuve on Blade Runner 2049, which is a film from 2017. In one key scene towards the end of the film, your character, Fraser, says, "Our lives mean nothing next to a storm that's coming. Dying for the right cause is the most human thing we can do." I find this sentence incredibly striking, especially when one sees the state of the world today. How did you conceive this character with Denis Villeneuve?
You know, it was really very, very, very difficult because the part was written in a futuristic language. So I had to learn basically a language in English that wasn't really English in a way, but it was like a mixture of past and present and future English. And then while fabricating, they thought it could be a little bit more theatrical or too theatrical if we keep it that way. And at the end, because my character brings the answer to the dilemma of the movie, it was too much to add that as well. So we changed, and they changed the way I was supposed to speak, and then I had to relearn everything again. With Denis, it was really like an encounter because he just wanted me to do that part. And when we started working on it as well, specifically, there were a lot of special effects as well on my eye because like I'm blind of one eye, whether we do it realistically on stage or in CGI. So finally, like I was closing my eye when I was acting, and it was done before. So technically it wasn't an easy part to do, although it was short. And lucky it was short, because I think if it was longer, it would have been really a pain in the neck just to keep doing every day the same thing. But we had, because I knew his work before as well, before he became a very important Hollywood director, I kept his independent movies in my mind as well. And suddenly I talked with him more about that work than the present work. And we connected on a very French basis as well, because with me he really loved to speak French, because the language of the movie was English and he was directing, everybody is English, but he found like, you know, to speak English with someone, French in someone was something very homely, very, you know, cozy to him. And we got really on very well. So I did the part, and I was very happy to do it. It was really incredible to live the photography side of the work of the DOP and the decor and this huge machine of work, you know, working as well with like stars on that movie was like an incredible experience.
And speaking of going from the character of Reza, I want to ask you about choices of roles, Hiam. Do your choices differ from yesterday to today? Do you feel that with time and with the politics that are governing us, do you take more time to decide on the roles that you want to have? How is your decision process when it comes to getting particular roles?
I might have evolved, I don't know, honestly, but I don't think about it that way. What I know now, that when I read a script, it goes, oh, it's for me or it's not for me. Now, why? I guess because, yes, as I said earlier, I cannot turn my heart, my eyes, my ears to what's happening in the world. So anything that connects me with suffering, with raising voices up when they're erased, when talking about communities that are completely oppressed, when talking about women that has a journey as many of these characters that I do, and they suddenly have an identity and they exist in life, when talking about Palestine and raising up the Palestinian voice, when every day it's under threat of vanishing forever, it becomes a duty. So sometimes I can love the story and the part is very little, but I still feel it's a duty to participate, because politically today, I have to be there. I have to join my voice to the others in order to say something of this world and of my own cause. When it's about Arabs, I know that voices of Arab women is becoming stronger and stronger every day, and I am part of that struggle. So I want to be part of that work because it's very important. When it becomes to America or to the Western world, it might be different, and then it would depend on whether I feel like working with the person that is asking me to work with, such as Denis Villeneuve, for example, or whether it's just like a waste of time to be there. And honestly, as well, like I'm very selective with these kind of subjects, because often they are a way of looking at us that I don't like, or I don't connect with. Or it's a stereotype of a character that I don't think I want to participate even in making it exist in cinema. So you see, there's a lot, it's complex, right?
and that leads me to speak about the autonomy of an actor. Do you feel like you are in full control of your decisions? Do you have a team to support you? How, I mean, because now this is a very big question and everyone is questioning the autonomy of an actor or of an artist. How do you feel about that?
It's a tough question, in fact. No, do people decide for me? The answer is no. Because I can like something that they don't connect with, but I connect with, and then if I feel like it, I would do it. Of course, I have a team like everybody else, but we work very much in harmony, really, because I think they know my tendency, and they know what I like to do, whether it's American side or French side, and I think we really work together to make out of it the best. But honestly, my decisions belong to me. Yeah. At the end of the road, if I don't like something and they think it's good for me and I don't feel it's good for me, I wouldn't do it. And if I like something that they think I should not be doing it and I feel like doing it, I do it.
I want to speak to slowly round up my part here. I want to speak a tiny bit about working on series. You were part of 2 hit series, Succession on HBO. We have fans. Created by Jesse Armstrong, in which you play the family patriarch's Logan Roy's 3rd wife, Marsha Roy, and Rami on Hulu, created by Rami Youssef, Ari Katcha, and Ryan Welsh, also have supporters. And you play Maisa Hassan, Rami's mother. You did work on British miniseries before, but suddenly with Succession and Rami, which more or less were shot at the same time, you went to another level with the working on series, and also it's a very different way of working than when it comes to filmmaking. How was it for you to just balance, to have these 2 very different roles in 2 very important series?
It was like my American part of life, I think, at the time, because it took a lot of time for me to be in the States, really, to do both series. But you know, that for actors, whether in series or movies, it's about acting. It's about participating in a work. Series just like last for longer. You get the scripts much later. You don't know the end of your story. You don't know. So you're always intrigued with where it's going. And it's a lot of commitment for a lot of time, sometimes where you wait, where you sit, but you keep doing things, you know, like as an actor, you cannot sit just and relax, you know? And I think it's exactly as for directors, I don't think really life today it should make us just, you know, there I am relaxing between 2 parts. In fact, I do 2 parts, but I have a lot to learn and a lot to stand up for in order to keep my body of work just fed by whatever needs to go on and whatever helps me to build up and keep building up. So it's, I say maybe books, maybe cinemas, maybe watching the work of others, just getting interested in the politics of the world, what's happening around us, reading about other problems than yourself, reading about other causes that your own. It's really like you have to shape your body of work, right? And if you're an artist and you want to be like an effective artist in your own world, you just have to keep doing it. Maybe I've gone a little bit far from the work on the series, but for me, it's exactly the same. I mean, there's no difference. It just lasts longer. So it becomes even harder. And you just like get sometimes like when it's going to be over so that I can go to something different. So, but it was very interesting because it was a new experience in my life. And because I guess, as you noticed, I like to keep surprised by things that happen to me, that surprise me, that challenge me, that makes me go further and further. So these 2 experiences were really incredibly enriching in my life.
My last question, because we're in a room full of talents, experience. Some people are starting. Hi. You championed working with emerging talents throughout your career. You supported many filmmakers in their first short films, in their first feature films. You really accompanied many of these filmmakers. How important is it for you to not just work with the big names, but also work with new talents?
It's very important, really very important. Now, it might sound a little bit kind of superficial when I say, like, I really love younger generation, but it's not about just the love. I think tomorrow I won't be there, and I would like to think that I contributed to the younger generation. I would like to think that I never dismissed any demand from their side to me. There is another thing that I lived when I was young. It's like I was very lonely in that path. I had to dig sometimes for people or I don't know, books or films where I would just find a voice that would help me hold on, right? And I think I really didn't come across when I was younger a lot of people that were just like telling me just go. And today I think it's important for me to take that place and to think about my beginning and to think about maybe the loneliness of maybe being an artist in such a place where I was born. And just to think that it is in a way a duty for me to not forget that and not to forget the younger generation in that sense. I don't know what the story of everybody is, but everybody has his own story, right? And if I can contribute something to help them, you know, go on with their beginning, I would do it. Of course, if we have a common language and a common subject and a common goal to the art that we're doing together. So it is very important. It's really very important. And I look very carefully at these subjects. Sometimes it's hard because there is more experience and less experience, but it's not about the hardness of the work itself. This job is hard. Dot, comma. There is nothing else to say. It's hard. At times, it's really hard. It takes a lot of you. So what? So we leave everything hard aside because we're looking for the easy stuff? Then stay as a bourgeois in your own palace and don't do art.
I want to leave the floor to you to ask questions to Hiam Abbass, who has been incredibly gracious in sharing all of that with us. Do we have questions from the floor? I think there is a microphone that should be running. It's a full crowd, so don't hesitate. Yes, there is a question here in the first row. Or there is one first. We'll take all of the questions with the time that we have.
Hi, Hiam. Thank you so much. This was so inspiring.
Where are you?
I'm right here. Hi. I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Gabby. I'm an actor. I'm from New York. And I have a practical question. The first day on a project, I always feel so self-conscious, no matter how prepared you are. It's like you're presenting what you've been working on, maybe in isolation to a bunch of like 40 other people. And I wonder if you have any techniques or practices you use to really prepare yourself for that first day in the character.
You know, having a little bit of fear maybe and just like being anxious about the work is great. It's not a bad thing at all to have. But don't, if I may say, don't start by showing off what you know or what you did or what you worked on, or just like, I think it's more important to be a listener in the first day you get there, because you kind of like judge better the kind of atmosphere of the work and the set you will be on, rather than just like imposing something of yourself that might be a little bit disturbing to others. So really just acting is about listening, right? And if you're an actor, you should be a great listener and a great, more than ever, generous person to be able to give your place to others. right? Whatever you know, whatever you say, whatever preparation you've gone through, it's very important the first day to be humble on set so that, you don't appear to be something different than you should be, really. Does that help? Thanks.
There is a question in the first row.
Hello,
okay.
good morning. My name is Mercy. I'm also an actress, originally Kenyan, but living in the German space. I struggle because I come from a different culture and emotionalities transformed differently. And in my field of work, I meet people and they say, you're too emotional. The emotions are too much. Keep it slick. And I ask myself, is it cultural or is it just because I've not found the right people to see what I carry that are able to manage?
It's a very interesting thing, whether it's cultural or not. It's not up to me to judge. But I think when you have a part and the part has characteristic, the part has its own emotion. And I'm talking now about the actress that you are. I'm not talking about the person who you are. So there are, when you're acting, you have to filter your own emotional system in order to serve your character. Of course, your character is going to take things from you because it's your body, it's your self, it's your emotion, it's your tears, it's your eyes, it's your whatever in you, and whatever your heritage is, like cultural, emotional, whatever. But I don't know if we can say to someone, you're too emotional or you're too... In real life, we can, but I think maybe, yes, you just have to think about how to employ your emotional system and your cultural system and your cultural emotional system to serve the character that you're doing. So it's really you're the master of yourself. Nobody else can master you. And I think if you are truthful to what you're doing, people would read it as a truthful thing. Does that help? Sorry, I feel like I'm an advisor suddenly, you know? Something I really refuse to do many times, but thank you for asking this question, and thank you for your trust, really, to whatever I say. But please, whatever I say, do whatever you think is right for yourself.
First row.
Yeah.
Yes, first row here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Thank you so much. I want to start off by saying, because I got to see In a Whisper yesterday, and it was such a special film, so I'm just so grateful for that. My question to you is, you've obviously worked in so many roles that are championing female voices, but you've also worked with such a talented range of female film directors. And I'm just wondering what you think the importance of women in cinema, both on screen and off screen, is today.
What do you think?
Especially, I suppose, in Hollywood today, and the importance of...
You know, I don't think about Hollywood or about anything. I think female voices are raising up, and we have to help them raise up more and more and more and more to the endless of our days, right? I started as a woman, I'll finish as a woman. I brought to life 2 women as well that are achieving their lives now. And the journey of women is something that I portray in my work. Whether it's a man that is directing me or a woman that is directing me, for me, the voice of a woman today is very important. We have to make it exist. Yeah, recently I've been working with a lot of women, and I'm very happy to have been working with a lot of women. Excuse me, men, I'm not dismissing you in any way. I think it's important, but I think the world is changing. Us, you, the youth, of this future are changing. It's up to you now to carry that message. It's up to you to continue raising the voices. Raising the voice of a woman, it means raising the voice of people that were oppressed for so long, human beings that were oppressed for so long. So keep defending the oppressed. Then you serve the cause.
Hello, Hiam. My name is Felicia. I'm also a filmmaker, a German-Brazilian filmmaker. And first of all, I wanted to thank you for addressing the political thing, because I think, like many other people here, I am so angry because being political does mean that we care. It does mean that we are not ignorant. It does mean that we don't use the story of the women and the people who are fighting for justice just to get fame, just to like present our films and receive some trophies. But when it comes to taking responsibility, we say, oh no, this is not art. This is like, we are in a phase right now where everything is falling apart. And this is the most important moment now to say that we don't tolerate this kind of treatment to each other. And everywhere around, people are standing up, communities are standing up, women are standing up. And then there is like a white man here in Germany saying that we don't need to be political in art.
There was a white woman as well, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to ask you, because I tried to apply for film school here in Germany, and I got rejected for being too political. But despite this, I'm still here.
Go somewhere else.
Yes, and I'm still here and listening to women like you, to people like my mother who immigrated, who I can now feel the pain that they couldn't feel. And I really wanted to thank you for sharing this, because this gives hope to us that we don't have to like mute ourselves and mute our voices, and that we have to find like our place and to find the people that think like us. And thank you for sharing this and for expressing your emotions and also your anger.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you really for sharing your feelings as well. And please keep going. Just keep going. I think really the world today needs youth like yourself. So please keep going.
There's a question over here in the first row, unless the microphone is somewhere else.
Hello, my name is Mandana. I'm queer and Iranian half.
Hello.
So, I saw both films, In a Whisper and Only Rebels Win. And first of all, thank you because you support those contents. Sorry for my English. Because even if we have 2026, it's unbelievable how often, even 5 years or 10 years before, actors don't want to tell that they are gay, or LGBTQ community has hidden a lot. So it's absolutely great that Trisha Tuttle since last year changed a lot, because there's still a lot of difficulties, and it's important. But also I think it's important that we come to the point that it's not always about gays and lesbians, that it's kind of normal, that okay, it has to be topic, but yeah, I saw a film where we're normal. It was not the topic. So you understand what I mean? That it gets a bit normal, yeah. And yeah, just to ask you if we want to send you a script to your agency, or where?
I knew I will get jobs here. I knew.
Yeah. Yes, just normal question.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your sharing.
Yeah, I'm very
And yes,
shy,
if you want to send me a script, I would read it. And don't worry, I will read it. And my agent wouldn't read it before me. So send it to my agency. Yes, of course.
We are unfortunately running out of time. Before we leave you, we started with Palestine. We started this discussion with Hiam Abbass on Palestine. And we will finish with Palestine. We do have an animation extract for you. Hiam Abbass gave her voice to this very moving short film directed by Palestinian filmmaker Ahmed Saleh called Layl, Night. And in that film, she's speaking to her missing daughter. Let's watch the clip first. Thousands of children are killed in brutal wars around the world. We would like to just remember through this clip and through this film, which was produced in 2020, these children that lose their lives, and especially over 20,000 Palestinian children that have been killed over the last 2 years during the genocide on Gaza, while so many others have lost their homes, their parents, their neighborhoods, their school. Children are not numbers. Hiam Abbass, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for your presence. It's very hard for me to leave you with a big message. Please keep working. Keep working to honor the stories of those who vanished, especially, as you said, Rabia, for those kids in Gaza that never, ever saw their dreams come true. Thank you so much.